Today I want to talk about gradients, specifically ways to achieve gradient effects in logos without using ordinary boring gradients. My name is Andre Leroux. Let's begin. There are four good alternatives to gradients that I want to show you. The first one is cross-hatching, which is basically lines stacked on top of more lines. This is not a new technique, and it is not exclusive to logos. It has been around for hundreds of years, first used in the Middle Ages and later perfected in the Renaissance in engravings like this one. Just look at that detail and the wide range of tones that you can achieve, from white to soft grey all the way to black, with smooth transitions from one tonal value to the next. And you can see the same thing in etches, like this masterpiece by Rembrandt. Different printing technique, where you can also use cross-hatching to build up tonal values. Even the soft greys here are made up of overlaid lines only. Just lines stacked on top of more lines. In your wallet you have examples of cross-hatching. Hopefully you have some paper money in there, not only coins. The images printed on money in almost any currency use cross-hatching. Check out this shell design on the $50 bill. That's pretty good. This design isn't flawless, though. I found this car in the design. That is a fail. Maybe the engraver was tired and was doing this work by candlelight way past his bedtime. But we can overlook that. The rest is extremely well done. In logos, this technique can be used with excellent results. Just look at this. The designer could have used simple gradients here and it would have worked just fine, but they used cross-hatching instead, and that takes this design to the next level, from being good to being fabulous. This is just more fun to look at than ordinary gradients. And there are many excellent examples of this on LogoGround. I will include the links to these in the description so that you can take a closer look. Okay, that was cross-hatching. The second alternative to normal gradients is Ben-Day dots or halftone dots. They are kind of the same thing. Technically, with Ben-Day dots, all the dots are the same size, and with halftone, the dots have different sizes, but the effect is the same, arranging dots in such a way that they create fun and interesting gradients. If you are old enough to remember comic books, you have seen Ben-Day dots in action. It gave comic book publishers a cheap way to produce full-color prints. In logos, it can be extremely effective, much more interesting than a routine gradient, and not at all difficult to produce. And you can use it in very creative ways. You don't even have to have dots. You can use squares or hexagons or whatever works best for you in your design. The next alternative to normal gradients that I want to show you is kind of related to engraving, but also something on its own. The old AT&T logo, designed by Saul Bass, made it famous. I'll just call them AT&T Lines. In an engraving, it is not all cross-hatching. Engravers figured out that you can have lines in a single direction and use variation in the line thickness and density alone to create shading. This can give you a cleaner, stronger, more precise type of shading than cross-hatching, and that makes it absolutely perfect for logos. These stronger lines can now give you more than shading. They can give character to the logo or help to define or emphasize the character of the logo. You can vary the type of lines and the direction and the type of transition to create very interesting visual effects. The possibilities here are endless. We will see many more legendary logos in the future using this technique. The last technique that I want to show you is flat shading. This technique is normally not used as a way to manually build gradients, but it can be, and it can look fantastic. With this technique, you have the freedom to place those bands of color or tone anywhere. You can place them in such a way that they contribute to the design. In this wolf, the lines all curve up and converge at the mouth of the wolf, drawing our attention up to the mouth and emphasizing the howl, and those bands become like echoes or sound waves. Very effective. This technique also gives you the freedom to do something completely spectacular. Once you take the gradient away from the software and into your own hands, you can do anything with it. This could have been an ordinary deer with antlers, and in some ways it is, but the designer had so much fun with the background that this logo is now ranked in the all-time top 100 logos on LogoGround. One more thing that I want to show you before we wrap this up, and that is combinations. There is no reason why you cannot combine two or more techniques. Here we have an engraving or cross-hatching style design that also has a normal gradient. And you don't need me to tell you that it works extremely well in this design. Just be careful, if you do combine techniques, it can easily become a mess. The secret is subtlety. This design works because the gradient is subtle enough that it does not compete with the engraving. It stealthily adds visual interest without drawing attention to itself. With all of these examples, the one common thread is that the gradient is subtle. If you're not looking for a gradient in them, then you almost don't even notice that there is one. Okay, that is a wrap. I hope that was helpful. Go have fun experimenting with gradient alternatives. Thanks for watching.